Greetings and welcome to Pinball Stories. Mike here. Today I'm going to talk about this game, Party Zone. This is an early Bally WPC game with the dot matrix display. It's one of the early games, and this is a game that I picked up that I didn't really know much about before I got the game, and I put a lot of little work into fixing it and tweaking it. It's a surprisingly fun game, and I had not played it much before I owned one, and so I didn't really appreciate how neat a game it is. It's also one of the few games that's painted with day glow inks, so under a black light this thing is really striking. It's got really great colors, and it's got beautiful art by Greg Ferraz, and it's a really beautiful, simple, fun machine. It's also the only game that actually has Pinball Wizard in it. Well, maybe the Tommy one does too. But this was the first machine to have the song Pinball Wizard. It also has Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix. It's got some pretty cool music in it that's neat, and it's really fun to play. It's a very simple playfield layout where, there's just a handful of things to do. It has one of the coolest toys in pinball, the little Captain Bizarre head right there that moves around and talks. And if you shoot the ball to the left, his head turns to the left. It's pretty darn neat. Let me see if I can turn them on. I just pulled the batteries out of the game because I think it had been up for a while. But this is a really lovely game, and I'm a big fan of it. And I'll tell you the story about how I picked this up. This is one of those games that I got that somebody had in storage. Now, when you put a game in storage, obviously there could be any number of reasons why somebody puts a game in storage. The same reason they put anything in storage, right? They're running out of room. They need to pack them up. And of course, anybody who's ever put a game in storage will tell you, hey, it was working perfectly when I put it in storage. That's kind of the common thing that they all say, which I would take that with a grain of salt. I think if usually games are kind of packed up when they can't get them working and they can't sell them, or they don't want to sell them, but they don't want to get rid of it, so they put it away. Even if it is put away when it's working, games that sit for a while, anybody of us who know that don't expect them to turn back on immediately when you get them. It's just one of those things that kind of doesn't happen. And this is a situation where I got a pretty good deal on this machine, and when I go out to the storage thing, and of course this is one of those places where there's no electricity, so you can't test it, you can't plug it in. All I can do is look at it, and I could tell that the game was complete, so I made the guy an offer, and he was moving out. He was cleaning out his storage thing. And this is another thing that, those of us that go on these pinball hunts, we're usually out there to pick up pinballs, but you never know what else you're going to get when you go on these hunts, because you're going to somebody's house, and usually if they're selling one thing, they're selling several other things because they're clearing stuff out, right? It's not always just a pinball machine. It's usually a pinball machine and a sofa, and here's some pictures over here, and here's an old bar, and hey, you need a lamp. There's a lamp, it's shaped like a woman's leg. You want that, right? It's that kind of thing. And on more than one occasion, I've gone for one thing and come back with something else. In this case, this is the first time I came with a pinball machine and left with something even bigger than a pinball machine, which is pretty interesting. So this guy is unloading this storage building. He's trying to get rid of it. And so the pinball machine was one of the things. So I make a deal, and I load the pinball machine up, and he goes, hey, you interested in some other stuff? I got to get rid of stuff in this room, right? So I'm like, well, what do you got? And he goes, I got a safe. And I'm like, a safe? And I'm thinking, one of those little document safes, that you might find in Office Depot. And I walk in, and no, he's talking about a safe the size of a refrigerator, a big old gun safe, big heavy steel thing, and I certainly have a collection of things, guns and stuff like that. So I'm like, hey, how much you want for it? And he says, tell you what, give me $500 for the safe. And I'm like, I knew these things cost a lot more than that. This looked like a really nice, had a combination on it, lock on it and everything. And I said, well, can you open it up and all that? So he opens it up, and I'm looking at it, and it's like, yeah, I've been wanting to get one of these things. Sure, why not? So I paid him $500 for this safe too, which I think was probably a pretty good deal. If you look at these safes now, they're like $1,500 for one of those big metal ones the size of a refrigerator, and I don't think they're as well made as the older ones. So we load this thing up. I'm trying to remember how I even got it, because I have an SUV, but somehow I managed to move the safe and the pinball machine. I don't know if I made 2 trips. He probably followed me is what happened. He followed me back to my house or something, or I called a friend. It's been a long time. But all I know is I got that safe, and that thing was heavy. And I brought it back to my place, and then the search was on to find somebody to help me unload that thing and put it into place. And what a nightmare that was. You think moving a pinball machine is a hassle? Try moving a safe that's about the size, the weight of like 3 of those things. It's brutal. It's brutal, but it was cool, So I ended up getting a pinball machine and a big, huge gun safe, and I still have both of these things to this day. I have a feeling that the safe is going to stay with the house because I will never move it again, and that's kind of the way it is. See, my neighbor's got his Harley going. So anyway, that's the story of my Party Zone. And sometimes when you go to pick up a game, there's something else that you get in addition to that. And that's my story, Party Zone plus a big old safe. And this is a super fun game. I absolutely love it. My plan with this is to take Party Zone, Attack from Mars, Revenge from Mars, and put them in a room with all black lights. So it's just nothing but pinball with black lights. There's a couple of other games that have day glow paint too. I think Dr. Dude is also kind of painted too. And I want to just have all these games glowing under black light. I think it would look so cool. So this is something hopefully that in the future I will be able to do a video of. Look at my, day glow black light pinball collection. So until next time, thanks everybody for watching, and be sure to visit PinballHelp.com and like the videos and subscribe on YouTube /PinballHelp. And until next time, thanks for watching.